Awez, and today we're reacting to YNW Melly's trial takes a wild turn after YNW Portland plea deal. It's crazy that there's so many people that we forgot are just coming back with their trials just to see what's really going on, and now to find out that YNW Melly might be cooked is, I don't know what to say about that one there, but let's see what's going on. So without further ado, comment, like, subscribe, and let's done.
So YNW Melly had a problem. His friend slash alleged accomplice YNW Portland just took a plea deal. Now, plea deals come in many shapes and sizes. We're gonna get into the specifics of his plea deal in a moment, but first, why is this plea deal coming about in the first place? Well, first you gotta understand the story a little bit. There were four friends: YNW Melly, YNW Portland, YNW Sack Chaser, and YNW Juvie. Now, you may have noticed all their names start with YNW. That's because they're a group of sorts, very, very close individuals. That's important. Very, very close individuals. Sack Chaser and Juvie get Portland drives Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital saying, hey, my friends have just been. The police say, well, we know all four of y'all roam together. Where Melly at? Police do a massive investigation, forensics, and according to police, Melly was in fact in the car. In fact, they have a video of Melly getting in the car with everybody. Melly says, no, I got out of the car before my friends Sack Chaser and Juvie were. Police say, we don't believe you because of all this other forensic stuff we did. If you want to know the super details, I did a video about it at one point. But because of all the forensic evidence we did, ballistics and all that, Melly, we think it was you. And then you hopped out of the car before Portland drove them to the hospital. Melly said, preposterous. Police say, bet. Let's ask a jury if that's preposterous. Jury said, They said, look at all this forensic evidence and all these ballistic stuff that we was showing. Y'all think Melly did it? They said, well, police said, we got all the evidence right here. The jury said, but why though? And there lies the problem. Police didn't have a reason as to why. Remember, I said all of these four friends, Sack Chaser, Juvie, Portland, Melly, were
I remember this one. Not the why. I'm just talking about the whole thing, bro. We got popularized because of his song that he made. Can I say the words? See, that's the thing about YouTube, bro. I said I'm gonna. No, I forgot to do my homework, and I do apologize to you all. It's not gonna happen again. I'm actually gonna learn which words I can say and which words I cannot say on YouTube. But yeah, that no. That's what made it very popular. That's why I even know about this case. Because why would I know about this case? Let's carry on.
Right. The best of friends. Melly has their names tattooed on him. So they need to give a motive. That's why you hear all that in the movies and all that, movies and TV shows. What's the motive? What's the motive? Because they need a reason as to why. We could just say anything at this point. What y'all are saying, okay, that sounds like y'all have made a very nice presentation, according to the jury, what they're thinking, but you didn't give us a reason as to why someone would, his loved ones. The police said, well, we'll get back to you on that. The judge said, no, you won't. Melly at this point had been in jail for about 5 years. The judge said, you got to give us a reason now or forever hold your peace. They said, we don't got one. And there it was, a mistrial. And what a mistrial means is no guilty, no innocent. We can either run it back or we could drop the whole thing. Usually courts drop the whole thing because what's the point of running it back if there's no new evidence? This time the police said, we gonna run it back, hell or high water, we don't care. Melly's lawyer said, no. You need to give us a reason for the run back or Melly has to go home because technically you guys are keeping an innocent man, innocent until proven guilty. You guys are keeping an innocent man in jail while you guys figure it out. So either y'all have more evidence or Melly has to go. Prosecutor said, don't worry about us. Worry about yourself because we got new evidence. Portland. See, remember, according to police, there was another person in the car. Portland, Melly when this whole thing went down. So they decided this time for this next trial, they're gonna get more information from Bortland to fill in what they don't have, the motive. Now I know what you're thinking. Why didn't they go to Bortland before? Well, they did. They said, what happened? He said, I ain't saying nothing. They could not get anything out of him. Melly's still his friend at the end of the day. But this time, Bortland may have a little bit of incentive. They lock Bortland up and tell him, okay, so we just gonna lock you up for accessory to somebody. You might have had a hand in it. We don't know what's going on unless you tell us Melly did it. He said, same story. Melly's lawyer says, same story? Oh, so it's gonna be the same trial? Prosecution said, hold on. Bortland, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Bortland said, for accessory to somebody? That's not. They said, no. You going to jail for sack chaser and juvie. What the prosecution decided to do this time was up the stakes. They said, fine, Bortland, you don't have to say anything. This could be the same trial as last time. We don't got a motive. You right. But this time you're going to have to roll the dice on your life. You're not an accessory, so you're not just going to get a few years. Now, this is police changing their story. They need a new prosecution. They need to make things different. Remember, in the beginning, they're saying Melly, two of his friends. That's all they're saying. Now, they're throwing in Melly and Bortland, both the two friends. This is strictly just to give Bortland time so Bortland can feel the pressure. Like, damn, I can really spend the rest of my life in jail. So they tell him, now do you feel like talking? He said, and there it was. This is a classic police tactic. That's why bail is so important. Because when you have somebody in jail, it's like psychological warfare. When you have somebody actually sitting in a jail cell, like Bortland, like Gunna, like Young Thug, it starts to feel a little different. When they start to realize, wow, I can spend the rest of my life in here. It's already been years. Police tactics, remember, they say, we're figuring it out. And while we figure it out, you got to sit in a jail cell. We're going to take our time figuring it out, though. Or you can just stop all of this right now and tell us what's going on. So Bortland said, let me plead, let me take it. Melly said nothing, because this is a separate case from Melly. Now, again, like we were speaking about in the beginning, plea deals come in many shapes and sizes. So Bortland's specific plea deal is, we are just going to ask him a few questions. And upon answering those questions, he gets 10 years in prison, 6 years probation. Now, he had already done like time served. I believe it was like 5 years already of time served. And with good behavior and all that, maybe he has like 3 more years left of that 10-year sentence. So it's a pretty good deal. In fact, the judge says so himself. He says, okay, so Bortland has the choice between 5 consecutive life sentences and basically 3 years. The judge says, wow, I don't know how you got this deal, Bortland, but that's wild. See, here's the thing you got to remember about this case. The prosecution had a mistrial the first time. For all intents and purposes, that's kind of a loss. Imagine you don't do something different. You go through the same trial, you're probably gonna lose again or have a mistrial again. So the prosecution's pretty desperate. They need more information at all costs. They can't go through the same trial and lose twice. So them giving Bortland this deal either means they're very confident about the questions that they will be asking Bortland, or they just need any new information possible. In fact, YNW Bortland's lawyer comes out and he says, Bortland will not be telling. The questions that the prosecution are going to ask Bortland, he doesn't get into the specific questions, but he says the questions that they do ask him will not affect Melly's trial. I don't know whether he's exaggerating to save face for his client Bortland, but he alludes to the fact that the prosecution's case is weak, and again, they're pretty desperate. On top of all this, the prosecution didn't even want to go to trial. The judge forced them to go to trial because Melly had been in jail for so long. Remember, technically innocent until proven guilty. Innocent person in jail for that long. The judge said, I don't.
Bro, 5 years, dog. 5 years. Yo. That's crazy. Imagine if he was innocent though. But they do have, like, you know what I'm saying? They painted a nice picture. But imagine if he was innocent, guys. 5 years in prison because you were innocent and the police are playing games. It makes sense why a lot of people don't trust the justice system. It's kind of flawed if you don't really have money. Or it is flawed if you don't have money.
Here, go to trial right now. Portland and his lawyers have leverage. They have negotiation power. They say, prosecution, we know you're desperate. Prosecution said, we're not desperate. What you mean? They said, first of all, you sweating. Second of all, y'all had a mistrial the first time. Boy, the judge is rushing you. When we get to that trial, same thing's gonna happen. We don't gotta tell you nothing. Prosecution counters with, well, fine, let's just roll the dice. We might lose, or you might go to jail for the rest of your life. Or we give you this amazing plea deal. Portland simply just gives us more information about that night. He does not have to one-to-one directly snitch on Melly. Just a little bit of information. Portland's lawyer said, oh, y'all folk just giving everything away. Deal, we'll take it. That type of deal shows that they're just here for Melly. Remember, all they're looking for is motive. They may not ask questions that would really go against Portland's like moral character, like selling out a friend. Like they might not ask him, did Melly do it? In fact, going back to the Gunna YSL trial, they told Gunna, whose stuff was that in the car? Was it yours? Was it Young Thug? He said, I'm not taking any deal. Gunna said this. I'm not taking any deal where I full on incriminate Young Thug. So the police had to ask him questions in a certain way. Not, was that Young Thug stuff in the car? No. They said, was that your stuff in the car, Gunna? Yes or no? Gunna said no. And the police are banking on the fact that you think Gunna and Young Thug are the only people in the car. So if it's not, so if it's not Gunna, then it must be Young Thugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the types of questions they ask. Basically, you come to your own conclusion. So they might ask, Portland, were you, Melly, Sack Chaser, and Juvie the best of friends? He might say yes. Were you guys angry at each other at times? He might say yes. Did Melly have a reason to his friends? Ooh, that might be taking it too far. So they might ask him something instead of, did you guys get in an argument in the time frame before Sack Chaser and Juvie were? Remember, they're specifically looking for that motive. So whatever questions they ask him, keep an eye. They're probably going to be revolving around the YNW friendship, of if there were arguments, of if there were reasons for Melly to his friends. All that being said, this is not 100% guarantee that Melly will be convicted. It really depends on the questions they do ask. Again, going back to the YSL trial, because it's what people know most commonly. Even though Gunna took his plea deal and a bunch of people took their plea deal, Young Thug was still free to go. He was still not guilty. So just because someone takes a plea deal does not automatically mean it's a guilty verdict. But again, depending on what they ask Portland, this could spell trouble for Melly. Now, whatever they ask him, I'll keep y'all updated. But for now, we just wait and see.
Crazy. That is. Who do you think he's gonna be found guilty or innocent? That's the question. Cause bro, when it comes to these type of things, Joe, I don't know, bro. I really don't know. I wanted to tell you, hey yo, nah man, he probably did it. I'm like, bro, I was not there. In fact, I was a lighter when this thing happened. I was a kid, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. But without further ado, thanks for watching the rest of the video. Thanks for chilling with your own. Comment, like, subscribe. And until next time, been the last one. We out.